Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Well, we're back trying this again. We'll see how it goes. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Light Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as Mushmouth. Remember Mushmouth? Yeah, who remembers Mushmouth? Do you even know who Mushmouth is? And I'm not talking about Joe Biden. I'm talking about Mushmouth. If you know, type it in the chat. Anyway, good morning, everybody. It's the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight, on the internet, on the stream platform where sometimes we can't make it through a show without having to redo some shit. But anyway, happy Thursday. Now, normally this is FTG Thursday, but I haven't really pushed that whole thing as of late, although we find plenty of them every day. But today it is it's actually an important day in the history of our country and of the world. The assault that maybe goes in and marks the end of a terrible regime that was taking over parts of Europe and had, you know, between the powers wanted to take over the world, I guess, and we, as we joined with the Allied forces and liberated France and destroyed what was left of the so-called Third Reich. It is D-Day. And when I say a day we can all take pride in, because you know the word pride has been bastardized, but this is actually a day that we can truly take pride in, because it's an accomplishment. It's not just something that you are. You know, it's not something that, if it's innate, then there's nothing to be proud of, right? If that's your argument that it's innate, which I don't care if it's innate. I don't care what people want to do on their own time in their own homes. So, you know, I'm kind of libertarian that way. But you know, it doesn't mean what you do has to affect me. Well, this thing that we're taking pride is something that actual people did. And many made sacrifices. And there are many who are still, well, not many. There's not a whole lot left who are part of that. So it's an important day to honor. You know, every day we lose the people who are part of that generation that basically saved the world from a lot of terrible things, in my opinion, and I'm sure most people's opinion. So we'll talk a lot about that today. My only articles I've even opened up today are in regards to that, although we do have some trending stuff that we can talk about, and some are also related to that day. But first, of course, like we do on the daily, we will say hello to those of you who made it into the chat, and we'll see the first iteration of this show. Now, if this show dies, don't leave the channel you're on. I figured out how to get it back running again if that happens, because it happens, well, you know, it seems to be happening every day, because for whatever reason I've reset the settings again on Streamlabs OBS. We'll see if it keeps going, but I'm not promising anything. So let's get into it. First, say hi to on Rumble, Mr. Avocados Diabli is first and gets the bell, because that's how it works around here. If you're the first person, you get a bell. The bell is a hearty endorsement by P-Dog Knight, and so you got one. And no, I'm not going to bring up that basketball league of womans today. We're not. No. This is no WNBA zone. So even if you bring it up the chat, I'm not going to get into it. Even if you drop what? Wait a minute. If we left the channel, we'd be watching something else. No, I mean, I didn't say you'd have to leave the channel. You'd leave the if you left you don't leave this particular stream, I've figured out how to come back, revive the stream in its current place rather than having to open a new window. So anyway, also in the chat over on Rumble, Phantom Dogfart, the greatest name on the internet. Good morning also to Mike Savage, Blarg, and Mercury's in the house. What's up, Mercury? Nice to see you. And that's all the people who. Oh, and TC is over on Rumble. There's a handful of people over there. 15 people on Rumble. Hot dammity diggity dog. That might be 16. Well, if you're watching on Rumble, just say hi in the chat. I want to know who's here. Damn, I love it. It's good to see. Okay. I wonder if the title got people riled up. I know that this title of the show today might get people riled up too, but anyway, pull the shoulder stab is up by his. Okay, I don't know what that means. So anyway, on YouTube, first in chat is also Avocados Diablo, just getting bells left and right. Zed the Snarky, you were this close. You were this close. Good morning, Zed the Snarky. Also, hello to Kara Soldier. Tribute Liberty, what's up, my brother? Good morning also to Real Time Fat Man. What's up? The Haram Life's in the house. Mike Savage, Blarg. Somnambul Nation, Lord Stanhope, Attack Alpaca. Hello, good morning to y'all. Also, let's see, who else is here? There's a bunch of people here. I just have to scroll farther. Bookworm Addicts in the house. What up? Unacceptable Views, our Canadian friend. Will Marty make it to the stream today with his sanity in, is my question. Well, this is going to be, I'm celebrating great people, great Americans and Canadians and Brits and everyone else who participated in D-Day. Also, good morning, Don, Julio, Gulf City Biker, and Trash Man. Good morning to Lord Stanhope. I see ya. Green Badger Outdoors in the house. Darren Roots here. Rick Ashbringer. What up? Protocol. What up? Hotep Nation. Also, good morning to Tyler F. and TC is also on YouTube. And as I scroll down, that might be Simon Wilkins is in the house. All right, that's it. I'm at the bottom. If I missed you, just keep chatting. I'll catch up. What? I was Fox P2. Oh, it's Fox P2 is Mercury. Wait a minute. Wait, I'll read this out loud, and I'll probably get in trouble because it's Pride Month. I was Foxby2 on YouTube. I swore off YouTube. Those fucking faggots tried to serve me a 2-hour and 45-minute advertisement. Holy shnikes. Yeah, so YouTube took away our ability. Let's put the big screen on. YouTube took away the creator's ability to determine what kind of ads you can see. So they now you used to be able to say, okay, I'll have ads just before and after the show, or we'll have some mid-run ads, and I never liked that anyway. And also, I never wanted to have non-skippable ads on my channel, because I just think that's annoying. If you want to, look, it's great for me if you can't skip the ad, but it's not great for me because I don't have that many viewers, but I always wanted to make that an option, just to be able to skip the ad after 5 seconds, because most people don't want to watch ads. And if they do, it's probably something really like totally interesting and something they need, which is very rare on YouTube. And so I was hoping that you could still do that, but now you can't do that anymore. You can either be monetized, you can monetize the show, or you can not monetize the show, and they choose. The only thing that you can choose is if they give you an option of when you put ads in, mid-time, mid-show. And I'm like, I just dismiss that every time. I don't put any mid-show. So I don't know. Wait, did I say I always never? Well, you know what I mean. You watch all my, well, thank you, Lord Sam. I appreciate that. I mean, if you watch the ads, I appreciate it. If you don't, I have no problem with that. So, Somnambul Nation had to skip the ad for the self-repeating Franken-ads. Well, that's pretty gross. Yeah, those ads, I don't know who produces those, but I think they should have their, they should go have a sanity check. They should go see a psychiatrist and a psychologist, and maybe even a sociologist, to try to figure out what that shit's about. Anyway, all right. let's see. I watch P Dog's ads. AIDS? Wait, you watch my AIDS? What are you talking about? Is that a typo? Or did you just write that on purpose? I see you. All right, let's get into the show. And I'm getting a keyframe frequency of 4 seconds. I have 0 second free keyframes. What is going on with my streams here? Well, we'll find out later. All right, let's get into it today because, again, late. By the way, quick thank yous to, maybe quick thank yous. Definitely a Soundumble Nation who tweeted out the show before I did. Thank you so much. Also, it looks like Man Squatch and let's see, TC, and that's it. Those are the people who tweeted out the show already. So look, share the stream. It would be appreciated. And yes, Gunfox, I see that the breaking news: Texas Starship launched booster landed softly in the water, and Starship as well. Yes, I saw that. That's on the trending topics today. The SpaceX stuff that I couldn't show yesterday because I had the stream fart. My stream took a dump or something like that. All right, so let's see what's happened in the world. Oh, it is still Strong Dad June, okay, and unfortunately, I didn't open anything for Strong Dad June. Let me see if there's anything happening. Strong Dad June, because I didn't put up oh, here we go. Only reveal what can't be used to break you or those you protect, even at the cost is a sacrifice to you. What? Okay, someone posted this for Strong Dad June. Looks like, is this, I don't know what show this is from, but anyway, here's something. I'm going to just play it. It's 10 seconds. Let's see what this says.
A friend once told me that the true measure of a man isn't what he reveals to the world, but what he hides from it. A friend once told...
Okay, that's interesting. I'm not sure what that means. Anyway, also Strong Dad June. Reasons D-Day reminds us giving our all matters. Iconic Media is the #1 hub for marriage success and empowerment. This is from Miss Pinky Thoughts, who does marriage counseling. And then here's a cool one. There's nothing not strong about this, but I'm glad she posted this. I saw this earlier too. This dad just very happy about spending time with his daughter, and I think this is very cool. So we'll play this one for sure. Let me full screen that as much as I can. Oh, that doesn't work. I guess this works better the way it is. Well, anyway, I'm just gonna play it. Here we go. This is cool, kind of cool.
Son told me not to drink last night, so I can get up early in the morning, have a little father-daughter breakfast. That son told me, boy, for real. I remember I was legit, boy. I used to always have them father-daddy shit, you feel me? Never, my daddy couldn't never be there, you feel me? Couldn't never be there. So, being up for my little girl, bro, just little pancakes and sausage, boy. That's all it took, little pancakes and sausage. And seeing a smile on her face, dog. Just telling everybody, I go my daddy, I go my daddy, I go my daddy. Proud to say that I'm my daddy. You feel me? Proud, walking around telling everybody, it's my daddy right here, this is my daddy. Feel me? They gave her little tickets.
Now I know it's challenging because he has a very thick deep Southern black person accent, but all he's saying is that, he's so proud. Just a simple thing like having breakfast with his daughter made him so proud and her so proud, because he didn't have that growing up. He didn't have his father there. And, you know, it's so touching just seeing his emotion and hearing him talk about his daughter being so proud that that's her dad. And, man, it's, you know, that's what it's all about, man. Being there for your kids, and you don't know what your kids think, but this girl's out there telling everyone, that's my daddy. So that one got me this morning when I saw it. So anyway, happy strong dad, Jude. We'll move on here. Also in the, what the hell happened here? Okay, come on, computer, work. Celebrity birthdays, I usually try to have one, and I haven't done it for a while, but today, this is one hell of a celebrity birthday. In fact, one celebrity birthday that might bring you some nightmares. Today is Robert Englund's birthday. Now, if you don't know who Robert Englund is, well, Robert Englund is a horror movie classic human being, also known as Mr. Freddy Krueger. June 6, 2024, social media were flooded with birthday wishes for Robert Englund, the iconic actor known for his role as Freddy Krueger in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. Fans and fellow actors alike expressed their admiration and gratitude for Englund's contribution to the horror genre. Now, apparently he was born in Glendale, California on June 6, 1947. Englund has had a significant impact on film, television, and voice acting. He's been in a lot of other horror movies, but he's obviously known for being Freddy Krueger, right? So anyway, happy birthday, Robert Englund, born June 6, 1947. Now, can you anyone in the chat name a role? Here's a good question. Name a role Robert Englund played that isn't Freddy Krueger. You might, yes, he was on V. He was on V, the TV series. Absolutely. It's Guy Smiley's birthday too. Is that a fictional character, Guy Smiley? Like, isn't that from Guy Smiley? Who's Guy Smiley? I can't remember. Yeah, Robert Englund's been in a lot of movies, but everyone knows him as Freddy Krueger. But he's been in a lot of movies. So anyway, happy birthday, Robert Englund. That's our celebrity birthday of the day. Moving on. Gunfox has mentioned SpaceX today, or not necessarily SpaceX, but SpaceX is proud to announce that their Super Heavy splashed down in the Gulf of Mexico. Let's see. Let me here. Oh, that's a screechy.
To guide the booster, and there's that landing bird.
As in a soft
That
landing.
landing bird just begun, and you can see the water below. And we have splashdown. What an incredible sight!
And the crowd goes
Congratulations,
wild.
SpaceX team.
All right.
To guide
All
the
right. So anyway, that was the scene earlier today. So now, if you didn't see the liftoff yesterday because you were watching me or watching a black screen, this is the countdown from yesterday. Let's put that up. Oh, there we go. Full screen. There we go. Here's liftoff from yesterday of the Super Heavy. This is 30 seconds. 30
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
It's just fascinating to
We
watch.
have liftoff. Vehicle is pitching downrange.
So there you go. We had
9,
Successful launch and a successful splashdown. Apparently, the every piece that was supposed to come down correctly came down correctly, so that's a good thing. So anyway, and let's see. Super Heavy's also trending because of that, and then Elon Musk also had posted the splashdown, which we just saw, so I'm not going to show it again. Moving on, Donald Trump has narrowed down his list of VP candidates, and apparently we got a list now. We have a list of people that they've sent vetting paperwork to. Travis from, well, this used to be Travis from Flint, but now it's Travis for Trump. Says the Trump team sent VP vetting paperwork to the following people. Doug Burgum, if you don't know who Doug Burgum is, he's the governor of North Dakota, and tangentially related to myself through my son's marriage to one of his cousins. Also, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, Tim Scott, Byron Donalds, Elise Stefanik, and Ben Carson. Now, Travis says Ben Carson's the only one on this list I'd be 100% comfortable with. Who's your choice from this list? Look, I'd be perfectly comfortable with Doug Burgum. Maybe Byron Donalds, J.D. Vance, I don't know. I mean, Byron Donalds, people are taking shots at him right now because he said something. Well, no, he didn't say something. Biden said that that Byron Donalds said we're better off during Jim Crow than we are now, which he never said anything of a sort. All he mentioned was that before the Jim Crow era, during the Jim Crow era, black families were far more intact, and it had nothing to do with Jim Crow. It had to do with the fact that the Lyndon Johnson's administration had started to put together ways to tear the black family apart. And so that's all he was saying. But Joe Biden interpreted that as we were better off during Jim Crow. No, that's not what he fucking said, dipshits. So anyway, but anyone on that list that you are particularly interested in, pop that name in the chat. Again, the vetting paperwork went out for Doug Burgum, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, Tim Scott, Byron Donalds, Elise Stefanik, and Ben Carson. Now, it's also interesting. Now, if you were paying attention to the Trump Manhattan trials, a few of these faces showed up at that trial to support Donald Trump. One of them was Doug Burgum. Was there. Marco Rubio was there one time. Was Marco Rubio? No, Marco Rubio didn't show up. J.D. Vance did, though. Tim Scott did. Byron Donalds did. Elise Stefanik, I'm not sure, but she spent a lot of time commenting on it and has been pretty prolific as far as filing, what do you call it? Ethics charges against some of the players involved. And then, but Ben Carson's a face I haven't seen at all. Has anyone seen Ben Carson involved anything in Trumpville lately? Not that he's not loyal to Trump. He is, but I haven't seen him around at all. So anyway, I have a sneaky suspicion that he might choose Doug Burgum. I don't know why. It's because it's such an I wouldn't say out there choice, not an obvious choice. I can see, and I don't understand why Marco Rubio's on the list, other than Marco Rubio's been, Marco Rubio wants to be president, but I don't know why he's on the list. Tim Scott, I kind of understand, but I'm not necessarily excited about him. I like Byron Donalds because Byron Donalds is probably the best of that bunch as far as pushing against the press bullshit and keeping narratives at bay with the facts that he keeps in his head. And Byron Donalds would be a tough debate for Kamala Harris. Byron Donalds would be a tough debate for the entire Biden administration because Byron Donalds is much like Vivek Ramaswamy when it comes to debating. He knows he got it all in his head. He doesn't have to look at notes. He can pull stuff right out of his head as opposed to Biden, who pulls everything out of his ass. So, Don. I kind of like that. Doug or Donalds. Yeah, I'm kind of those two too. I like those two. So anyway, All right, let's move on. Also trending, remember Andrew McCabe? Andrew McCabe is trending. He was one of those, was he in the FBI or was he in the Justice Department? I can't remember. He got fired though, because he lied and done under oath. And so now, because when you're, but it was about Trump. So you get forgiven very easily by, establishment media, the whatever. And so now Andrew McCabe is an analyst for CNN. This is CNN. Now, he went on Caitlin Collins' show over the last couple of days, I guess. And he has a concern about Donald Trump becoming president, which I'm sure many FBI people and people who who participate in the targeting of a certain guy with funny hair. And he has a concern, and maybe it is a legitimate concern, but it has made the news, and he articulated this on This is CNN. I don't know why that's doing that. So let's just, let's see what old Andrew McCabe's up to. Yes, the FBI. An FBI.
It's great.
Oh, Sheograth, what's up? Today we remember the brave men who sailed in boats from Britain to France so that one day fraudsters, gangsters, and benefit cheats could sail in boats from France to Britain. It's funny because on the day of D-Day, the D-Day commemoration, there was a huge, not a huge, but a small flotilla of boats that were landing in Spain today. But these weren't like military boats. These were boats of migrants from somewhere. Boy, oh boy, how things change. Anyway, here's Andrew McCabe. What did he say? He's worried about Trump seeking revenge on his enemies if elected.
To have you here because I just few people know the inner workings of the FBI better than you do, and you've also personally experienced the pressure from Donald Trump. And when you see him promising this wholesale takeover of the Justice Department, I wonder.
Whoa. Wait a minute. I'm going to analyze her question first, just from that statement. The wholesale takeover of the Justice Department. You mean like the President of the United States that is basically the lead person of the Justice Department? The president enforces the laws, basically. Like there's the branch that makes the laws, and then there's the branch that adjudicates the laws, but then the kind of the enforcement branch is the executive branch, right? So when she says the wholesale takeover of the Justice Department, well, that's his fucking job if he's the president, kind of like Joe Biden has now. Although the Justice Department has been a rogue, the Justice Department and the FBI have been a rogue kind of entities, especially during the Trump administration. But anyway, that's about her question. Let's continue.
How you worry about what that would look like?
How do you worry? You mean, mean it might work like it's working now? Oh, by the way, I do have my cup of Red Persian's coffee in the Guten Hachet cup. I figured I'd have a German cup on D-Day. That was brilliant.
Caitlin, I worry a lot about it.
Oh, I bet you do. You should be in jail.
I think it's, when you think about these things and you try to predict how Donald Trump is going to react or the steps he's going to take, you really don't have to go any further than listening to the things he says and does.
Oh, really?
I mean, his comments recently are offensive and horrendous, but they're not surprising in any way. He's been saying this for quite some time.
They're offensive and horrendous. Yeah. You mean like the people have been targeting him, and it's pretty obvious there, Andrew, but
time I will be your retribution is
yes. And when he says that, what context is he saying that, Andrew? When he says our success will be the revenge, that we don't have to take revenge, we just be successful and that'll be our revenge. But no, you hear Joe Biden's version of revenge, which is going after your enemies, which seems, I can't guarantee that that's exactly what's happening right now, but it sure seems like it. okay, I'm going to let you finish.
Refrain to his supporters. So, you know him, you know what motivates him. He is not a person who's driven by principle or ideology. He is someone who's entirely transactional. And if he feels like he's been wronged in some way, then he focuses on revenge and vengeance. And so he's made it perfectly clear that that's what he's going to do. And in the process of seeking that, he is going to he runs the risk of really dismantling and greatly incapacitating the Department of Justice and the FBI.
Oh my God, I am just so torn apart by that idea. Oh my gosh. Well, maybe not the Justice Department, but the FBI? Wasn't the FBI originally formed? Created as kind of a temporary thing? Because really there was no state police before the FBI, right? I mean, you had courts and stuff, but really the police powers that the United States had really just came from within each state. And then they created the FBI, I guess, to enforce some of the gangster shit during Prohibition, because it was going, they were, going across straight lines. But I just don't get it. I mean, the implied point there is that the president shouldn't control the Justice Department, which is like, wait a minute. That's in the Constitution, isn't it? So anyway, that's weird. And then, oh my God, we might scale back the FBI. Oh my God, that'd be just terrible. I just don't know what we'd do without them. Anyway, Fat Man says, P-Dog 9, I see if we can deport John Major, the original gray man, to the U.S. and he can run for president. No. I don't. No, please, God, no. Anyway, let's see what else Andrew says here.
And that is something that Americans on both sides of the political aisle should be worried about.
Oh, no, just the establishment people on both sides of the political aisle, which is really one side of the political aisle. That's what I'm, I would figure that just the establishment people are worried about that. Because right now, if you had the FBI targeting the president of the United States while he was the president of the United States. You had military leaders in the United States lying to the president of the United States. In fact, that Millie Vanilli, General Milley, the one who lied to Trump about troop presence in Syria, he should have been fucking court-martialed. And I haven't heard anything about that. He literally lied about troop levels in Syria to the president of the United States, who is his commander. Milley's not the leader, the people. Milley's not the commander-in-chief. The president is. And he lied. He should have been court-martialed. He should have had a couple of bars taken away. Something. So these people who will be in the Justice Department are there at the pleasure of the President of the United States when he gets there. And if he wins, I hope he fucking cleans house. Now, the problem is, unfortunately, when the last time, and maybe he learned from this from last time, when he got into there, he's like, well, I need some people who know how the workings of government work. And so he brought in all these establishment fuckfaces that, some of them sucked and some of them didn't, but a lot of them did, because there's, you got to choose from a limited pool, and the people who want to do this shit are generally part of that swamp mindset. So I don't know how he does it, but God forbid he undermine the integrity of the FBI and the Justice Department. What fucking integrity do they have right now? I'm going to let you finish there, Andrew.
Yeah.
We depend on those institutions to protect us.
Well, what do you think it's...
And he is...
But wait a minute. We depend on those institutions to protect us? Really? You mean like the mass pew-pew people that you knew about in advance but didn't do shit about them? Yeah, you fail there. the people doing plans like the terrorist plots that you knew about them, but they still got their terrorist plot off the ground, and you didn't protect us there. Now, look, if you were doing a great bang up job and weren't a bunch of partisan fuck faces, maybe we would have more confidence in you. But it just seems like you have an agenda that doesn't necessarily, at least the last time, didn't necessarily follow the agenda of your commander-in-chief. So I can understand why he might be a little reticent about keeping your sorry ass. Well, not you, because you've already been kicked out. Anyway.
What do people inside the FBI think when they hear a comment like that?
Oh, how do they feel? How do the people in the FBI feel? I wonder how many people in the FBI, because you're only going to get Andrew McCabe's opinion on this, and the people who are like-minded with Andrew McCabe. I wonder if there are people in the FBI going, you know what? Reticent. I know. I don't know what it said. I meant to say reticent. Thank you, Advocate Stanley. I wonder if there are people in the FBI who go, yeah, he's right. We need to fucking clean house. Some of these motherfuckers are here for a totally different agenda. I wonder how many say that. I hope there are some. Good morning, Selecta Boy, by the way. Yeah, boy. Sorry about the ads. I wonder if you know, because there's people in the military like that. They're seeing all these generals wearing dresses and shit, and dog, fucking furry costumes, and going, what the fuck is this? And having a drag queen doing military recruiting. You wonder why we're not getting any more of that greatest generation we're about to talk about. I guarantee that. Because this administration's fucked. And I wonder how many people in the FBI, in the ranks of the military, and even in the Justice Department are like, enough of this shit. Let's just get Trump back in here. At least we looked sane. We may not have been, it may have been a pain in the ass to have a guy who doesn't like us, but at least we looked sane.
It's terrifying. It's frightening.
Oh, it's terrifying.
I have a lot of conversations with former colleagues, people who are or were in the intelligence and law enforcement community and may have worked in, the Obama administration, other places.
Oh, so yeah, those ones that have worked in the Obama administration because they were like-minded with the Obama administration, but you mean the Obama administration that probably tried to get you? Well, let me just put it this way. So that Obama administration, they had a Secretary of State named Hillary Clinton. Remember her? And now maybe they didn't do this with the FBI, but they certainly tried to get foreign spies to create fake information on the guy that she was running against. And I'm pretty sure that the Justice Department, some people, in the people who don't get change with every election, the ones that are just entrenched there. I'm sure there's plenty of them who probably cheered that on. So if they're frightened for their jobs because they've been assholes in the past, well, good. I don't care. I hope you lose. You remember that? It was a viral video that the black woman who's talking to the cop. She's saying, "You gonna lose your job. You gonna lose your job. Check this dance." She was like twerking on him. You gonna lose your job. That's what I think about these guys if Trump gets it. You gonna lose your job. Good, because you're an idiot. All right, sorry.
And people are really trying to assess what is life going to be like if Donald Trump wins a second term. And on a very personal level, these are torturous discussions with their family members about whether or not they have to leave the country to avoid being unconstitutionally and illegally detained. I mean, people are actually worried about.
Oh my God, Scott! Oh, they would be unconstitutionally and illegally detained. You mean like the? You mean like the some of those January 6th people? Regardless of what you think of their guilt or innocence, most of those January 6th people have been unconstitutionally and illegally detained by our Constitution. Speedy trial, that's not for the government. That's for the people who are accused by the government. And in conditions that were cruel and unusual. Oh, my gosh. You mean some people in the FBI and the Justice Department might have to face that? Oh, the vapors.
Being thrown in jail or grabbed in some sort of extrajudicial detention. And I think, you know, as crazy as this sounds, in the United States of America,
or guns and a raid on your home with guns drawn. Wow, who's experienced that ever? Oh, wait, might be the guy with the funny hair.
I think people should really consider that these are possibilities. Listen to what the man says.
Wow, so there are possibilities. So in other words, same as it ever was under Joe Biden. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Same as it ever was. Fuck you, McCabe. Seriously. And again, I mentioned this yesterday, you know, Democrats, do things when you go, well, careful what you wish for when you come up stuff, All right. Now let's get into some of the things I wanted to talk about today. The main topics. Oh, wait. Now, this is what I saw. I saw this phrase trending, and I was thinking, does this have something to do with D-Day? And that would be Winter Warrior. And so I saw this thing, I saw this trending, and I clicked on it. I'm like, Winter Warrior, does that have something to do with World War II? Does that have something to do with D-Day? Oh, no, not at all. Actually, the Minnesota Vikings revealed some new all-white uniforms called Winter Warrior, which are actually, I kind of like it. Because there was the trend in the NFL that everyone had a black uniform, all black uniform. And so I thought this all white uniform was kind of cool, but it has nothing to do with, absolutely nothing to do with D-Day. But I just thought these look pretty sharp though. I don't know why I'm highlighting this for you, but this is the new Viking Winter Warrior, with the white helmet and the white horn and whatnot. That's pretty good looking uniform. So has nothing to do with anything. But I live in Minnesota, so I have to have something to excite me about Minnesota sports before they let me down like they always do. So there you go. All right, let's go on to D-Day, because obviously this is the 80th anniversary of D-Day. And it's a day that we can all actually have pride in. I like saying that because I don't give a fuck about the other Pride Month. I mean, look, I'm not knocking people who like their little Pride Month, but it has nothing to do with me and nothing I'm proud of. But D-Day is something that every American and everyone who lives in one of the Allied countries, and actually the whole world, can probably celebrate, because it was the event, obviously, that was the beginning of the end of World War II. The liberation of France and sweeping the Germans back to the east, while the Russians were sweeping them back to the west, and they were getting their asses handed to them, and that was a good thing, and eventually caused the downfall of Hitler and the entire Third Reich. And so lots of people talking about D-Day today, and now there was something very touching today. And I'm just going to go through different tweets and articles and stuff that we're going to do. We're going to try to get through 5 articles if we can. But this was something that was super touching. So let's see maybe this is a better shot of it. Yeah, this is a better shot of it. So this is just a video of a D-Day veteran. Now remember, these guys, all these D-Day veterans that are alive are near 100 years old, right? And so this gentleman here, they ask people to stand for the playing of taps if you are able. And this guy is in a wheelchair, but he was determined to stand for the playing of taps for the remembrance of his fallen brothers. And so he asked for help there and stood for it, which is just wild. Before taps on the D-Day anniversary, as it was announced, stand if you can, this World War II veteran stood. He couldn't do it on his own, but due to his honor, was determined to do so. One generation gave everything for the flag and for the world and for our country. That allows for the current one to burn it. Jesus. By the way, oh yeah, that is funny. Good point. Today's show has pride in the title, and so far the stream has continued. Coincidence? Probably. Yeah, probably just a coincidence. I did redo some settings. Hopefully I fixed it. So I thought this was rather touching. Also, apparently there's a lot of people talking about, what the hell is that? Joseph Biden today at D-Day. Let me scroll through this a little bit. Oh, now some of these criticisms may be fair, some may not. For example, there's this clip going around, and well, it kind of is, because you can, in this clip, I guess Biden's being announced, and for some reason, it looks like he's about to sit down. Now, in the tweet on this says, sitting in an invisible chair, pooping or sitting in an invisible chair. By the way, you know, if pooping is a word that's trending on social media, do you really want it to be about the president of the United States? But some people are saying that Joe Biden was trying to sit on an imaginary chair. And I don't know if this is a fair assessment of what's going on here. But it looks like he was going to sit down at an inappropriate time, and Jill stops him. So here's Joe Biden in this particular clip. Now there's some chairs behind him, so I don't know if it's an imaginary chair, but here it is. Yes, the sound is only on the right side. So
Distinguished guests, please welcome the Honorable Lloyd J. Austin.
And then she's telling him, and again, Lloyd Austin's talking. There's, in fact, one of the Krasensteins has countered this by the fact that in this clip here, while Lloyd Austin is speaking,
we bow our heads to remember the more than 9,000 U.S. and Allied soldiers killed or wounded on D-Day.
Joe is sitting in a chair that was right behind him. So I think he was trying to sit down before he was supposed to, and Joe's telling him, no, we're not supposed to sit down yet, you dipshit. But the criticism right now is that Joe Biden is letting this continue, letting him run for president, encouraging him. Sorry about the white screen. It's just my computer going slow again. So Jill Biden's trending because Jill Biden should be ashamed of herself for letting this clearly demented Joe Biden make a fool of himself on the public stage. Also, at some point during this ceremony, apparently Joe Biden was supposed to be shaking hands with people or something, and for some reason they say that he's suddenly leaving. She's guiding him out of the ceremony, and apparently Macron is like standing there by himself, wondering why he left. While they were supposed to be shaking hands. So I don't know, now when you see clips like this, you go, okay, is that what's really happening? Or someone takes a clip and just tries it and uses it to make Biden look like the old senile bag of whatever he is, right? So I kind of scrolled to some other places. Now here's, for example, Someone said he was trying to sit in an invisible chair. Okay, so that's this clip that we've already seen. So we'll just go through these clips that people are putting up.
Distinguished guests, please welcome the Honorable Lloyd J. Austin.
Okay, so then there's this clip of Biden seemingly about to wander off the stage. But actually, he's just coming to where his chair is, so I don't know. Obviously, that's where he's about to sit.
They've inflicted on the Russian aggressors, they've suffered tremendous losses, Russia. The numbers are staggering. 350,000 Russian troops dead or wounded. They've inflicted on the Russian aggressors, they've suffered tremendous losses, Russia. The numbers are staggering. 350,000 Russian troops dead.
Now, I haven't heard his speech, but someone says that he's talking about the Ukraine war when he says this, which didn't seem like it'd be in context of D-Days, but he's talking about how many Russians died in Ukraine. And then we saw the clip of him being pulled off by Jill Biden. I guess tomorrow, when actual reports come out about this, we'll get to know what actually happened in some of these clips. So I'm not I'm not saying that the narrative that people have made about these clips is wrong or right. I'm just saying this would be a good idea to wait on those. Let's see. Is that the last one there? Okay, that's all of those. Now, yesterday I found this account called Warpath by accident because they were mentioning D-Day being tomorrow, and he said today he would be completely insufferable when it comes to D-Day posts. So I thought we'd go through some of his posts just from today, of things he's posting and reposting, and then I'm gonna go through a few articles. So so we're just gonna go down the line and see maybe 4 or 5 and see what he's posting to see what he did. So here he is, reposting some Lafayette Lee. Ordinary men from every corner of the country, farm boys and city kids from the north and south and east and west. What they did is a testament to the energy and grit of the everyday American. These, not the soft, smooth, and sophisticated, are the backbone of our country and always have been. Now, I always want to remind people, because Americans, we tend to think that the only people who were doing this on D-Day were the Americans, which is not true. We got to remember that 2 of the beaches were taken by the Americans, 2 of the beaches were taken by the Brits, and 2 of the beaches were taken by the Canadians. And I'm like, wait a minute, Canadians fighting wars? Sorry, Canadians. So my Canadian friends, though, I salute all the Canadian servicemen who took part in D-Day too. To the Brits, I salute all the Brits who took part in D-Day too. This was a joint effort by the Allied forces. Obviously, we know, because we're Americans, we know most about what happened at Omaha Beach, right? I wondered too if you know the stories of how they fooled the Germans, where they set up fake, basically balloons in the shape of tanks on another part of England and also in the Netherlands, to fake out the Germans, to make the Germans think that they were going to attack from the north. And then they came down and attacked, Juneau, Utah, and Omaha, right? So that's a great story too. There's lots of great stories. I mean, if you go, and there's some great documentaries. In fact, I am putting one documentary in particular, which is The World at War. It's an episode 17 talking about D-Day, the Blu-ray, D-Day. It's a great episode, and I'll put that in the links today if you want to watch that. It's an hour long though, so I don't want to watch it here. But back to the Warpath, feed here. Now this is from the Filthy 13. I'm not sure what this is, but we'll just play it. All right, I kind of have to take this music out though. Now I am surprised this might be from. This is from World War II. So these guys getting ready to parachute in. Alice in Chains, right? Not Alice in Chains, no. Yeah, they didn't do anything. It's interesting to see the haircuts too, if this is World War II, but apparently it is. You know, I just think, especially paratroopers, you're jumping into just a barrage of bullets and shit. I don't get it. Here it is. You think those young men were brave storming the beaches, and then you operate a few machine guns and understand how they work. Then you get a little older and sit in one of these fighting positions and you want to cry for them. So he's basically just got a lot of photos, how they, remember, everything was done by paper maps written out, sometimes by pen. Sketch shows the exit path of the first troops from Dog White Beach at 8:50 from the 29th Infantry Combat Narrative by Lieutenant Jack Shea. This is just someone taking pictures from that area. I don't know. There's clearly some housing there. This is something that I really want to do, is go to there. My wife and I have talked about, there's a river cruise that actually is based on that, where you can go to Normandy, you can go to the beaches and stuff. They had looked at and smelled death all around them all day, but never even dreamed of applying the term to themselves. They hadn't come here to fear. They hadn't come to die. They had come to win. Interesting post. Almighty God, our sons, pride of our nation, this day have set upon a mighty endeavor, a struggle to preserve our republic, our religion, our civilization, and to set free a suffering humanity. That's FDR speaking of D-Day. Let's see. Okay, again, it's more music. I'm not going to do the music. But anyway, let's just go into some of the articles because I want to get to these. So we're going to go through a few of these articles, just remembering June 6, 1944. And this one, that's the title of the article in American Greatness. 80 years ago this morning, 156,000 members of the armies of the United States, the Britain Commonwealth, and the forces of the occupied countries of Europe stormed the beaches of Normandy in the greatest single-day invasion in human history. Less than a year later, on May 8th, 1945, the war in Europe ended with Germany's capitulation. Now, they didn't say Canada. Oh, Canada. That's just an unfair, unforced error there. When the invaded forces hit the Normandy beaches and paratroopers landed behind the lines, the success of the invasion was not a sure thing. Despite years-long planning, so much could still go wrong. Supreme Allied Commander Dwight D. Eisenhower and his staff believed that invasion day casualties could reach more than 50%. Ike was so concerned that he penned an address if the invading forces had to be withdrawn. Thankfully, even though casualties were heavy, they were far less than worst-case scenarios. For me, D-Day has always fascinated me. It goes back to 1962 when I was just 8 years old, watching the feature film The Longest Day, viewable for free on YouTube, by the way. With its star-studded cast that include John Wayne, Kenneth Moore, Richard Todd, who participated in the landings, Robert Mitchum, Richard Burton, Sean Connery, Henry Fonda, Gert Fröbe, Kurt Jürgens, Robert Wagner, and dozens more. It was shot in black and white, and it was released just 18 years after the invasion itself. It had almost documentary quality, showing the day from both sides, the Allies as well as the Germans. Fast forward to 2001. I was in Europe covering the 2001 Frankfurt Auto Show on September 10th and 11th. Frankfurt was a huge show spread among 7 separate exhibition halls. My work on day 2 was done by 2 p.m. local time, and I started walking the floor to get some additional photos after the press conferences had concluded. After grabbing some photos by this person is Richard Truesdell. After grabbing some photos of one of the concept car reveals I missed earlier, I walked the floor and went past a BMW SUV on display that had several small screens installed externally, surrounded by a group of journalists. I thought nothing of it at the time until a colleague said to me, "Did you hear what happened in New York City? An airliner just crashed into one of the World Trade Center towers." It immediately dawned on me that explained the crowd around the BMW. I walked back to the BMW, and at 3:03 p.m. local time, watching horror as that second plane hit the tower. I'm sure I'm not alone in remembering exactly where I was at that moment, similar to those old enough to remember where they were when JFK was assassinated in 1963, Nixon's resignation in 1974, or when the Challenger space shuttle exploded in 1986. If you remember that day, after the attack on the Pentagon and the 4th crash in Pennsylvania, you know that all air traffic was shut down to and from the United States. At that point, I had no idea how or when I would return to the United States, but I suspected it would be several days. I called my local Daimler Chrysler press fleet manager and asked if I could extend the loan on the Jeep Wrangler I was driving, and I was told there was no problem. Upon returning to my room that night, I drew up a plan that would take me more than 500 miles west to Normandy. I was going to cross off a bucket list item to visit the Normandy beaches, then drive west over the road to Liberty to Bastion, Belgium. The next morning, I set out for Normandy and arrived in Caen on the evening of September 12th. Along the way, I picked up historic Michelin maps of the Normandy battlefield, as well as the road to Liberty itself. The following morning, not long after sunrise, I found myself on Omaha Beach. Driving up to the sandy beach in my Wrangler, I looked out over the English Channel. It wasn't too difficult to imagine some 18-year-old German soldier looking out as the landing barges hit the beach. In the aftermath of the confusion surrounding the 9/11 attacks, I knew life would never be as it was. How true that turned out to be. The towns along the West Coast are dotted with monuments and historic sites too numerous to mention. For that, I invite you to read my 2-part travelogue that was published in 2002 in Four Wheeler magazine. I document how I spent the following 3 days following in the tank tracks of General Patton's Third Army as he dashed across France in the summer of 1944. In 2004, I returned to Normandy to celebrate the 60th anniversary of D-Day. Everywhere I went, I was able to talk to many veterans of that day. It was such an honor to speak to and interview them as they recalled the most important day of their lives. For most, it was a day that defined them. The youngest of the veterans were then in their late 70s or older. I have to admit, being 50 at the time, I was in absolute awe of them. 5 years ago, I'd hoped to return, having missed the 70th anniversary. I planned to host a group of World War II enthusiasts on an escorted tour of the Normandy beaches, and together in Jeeps, of course, duplicate my 2001 drive from Normandy to Bastogne. But things never fell into place as I had hoped. To this day, I look back to see it was our lost opportunity. Today, the 80th anniversary of the greatest seaborne invasion in human history is an opportunity to pause and express our admiration for our fathers, grandfathers, uncles, and in some cases, great-grandfathers who stormed the white sandy beaches of Normandy that June morning of 1944, when the few survivors who remained returned one final time, commemorating the most important day of their young lives. In these divided and highly partisan times, can we all pause for a few minutes to say thanks and honor the sacrifice of what truly was America's greatest generation? I know I will. So that's just one small tribute. And interesting, and not a whole lot about it, but there you go. Let's see. I want to make sure I have time. You know what? I do have several other articles. D-Day and America in 2024. This is in American Thinker. I'll let you read these on your own. Now this is interesting. This is just kind of a news piece, but veterans in the U.S. Congress will jump from a World War II era C-47 to mark the 80th anniversary of D-Day. A handful of veterans of the United States Congress will jump out of an actual World War II era Douglas C-47 into Normandy to mark the 80th anniversary. In a post on X, retired Green Beret Florida Republican Michael Waltz announced that he and a bipartisan group of veterans in Congress will make the leap over Mont Saint-Michel in France out of one of the planes used by the Allied forces in World War II, Roll Call reported. Quote, I spoke with CBS this morning about the 80th anniversary of D-Day and how we're honoring the brave Americans who led the charge on the liberation of Europe. Walt's post read, on Friday, I'll join veteran members of Congress jumping into Normandy from one of the original C-47s from the invasion. Waltz made it clear this is no leisurely skydiving trip, and they will be on the ground in just over a minute. Wow. So, man, they're going to toss Duckworth out of a plane? No, I don't think so. From a military standpoint, the longer you're sitting up there floating under a parachute, the more vulnerable you are to get shot. So you want to be as low to the ground as possible so that you float to the ground as fast as possible, Waltz told the outlet. You don't land softly like when you see the skydivers just kind of tiptoe right into the ground. You hit pretty hard, he added. Everyone has experience, but for some people it's been quite a long time since they retired and since they were in an active airborne unit. Waltz said his crew will be joined by a large congressional delegation for a multi-day ceremony in France to mark the anniversary. The Florida representative noted the 80th commemoration means that the youngest World War II veterans we know of will be 96 years old, the oldest 107. Several have died just since they signed up with American Airlines to go, he added, so it's important to honor them to keep their legacy alive. In preparation for the jump and to knock off some of the cobwebs, the Florida Republican led most of the group on a practice jump in Florida where they went over safety precautions. Waltz said when Speaker Mike Johnson found out about the jump, he made it clear to him with the Republican slim majority, every one of them better make it back. We joked with Speaker Johnson that the plane is 81 years old. It's a vintage World War II plane. All of our uniforms will be vintage. We're going over the same drop zone as our forefathers in World War II, but the parachutes are new, and we have a backup chute, so don't worry, I'll be just fine. During the visit, the group will also visit Normandy American Cemetery and Memorial, where almost 2,500 plus Americans who died during the D-Day assault were buried, in the outlet noted. I'm curious which congressmen are going to be, and how many in particular are going to be joined in that. But I actually think that's pretty cool. Good for them. Oh, whoops, sorry about that. Let's redo that. There we go. So I'm going to finish with the speech that we listen to every year on D-Day. Probably the most famous recent speech regarding the World War II vets and D-Day, and that is the speech that Ronald Reagan gave in, I want to say, was it 1984, on the 60th anniversary of D-Day.
We're here to mark that day in history when the Allied armies joined in battle to reclaim this continent to liberty. For 4 long years, much of Europe had been under a terrible shadow. Free nations had fallen. Jews cried out in the camps. Millions cried out for liberation. Europe was enslaved and the world prayed for its rescue. Here in Normandy, the rescue began. Here, the Allies stood and fought against tyranny in a giant undertaking unparalleled in human history. We stand on a lonely, windswept point on the northern shore of France. The air is soft, but 40 years ago at this moment, the air was dense with smoke.
My apologies, the 40th anniversary, not the 50th, not the 60th, the 40th in 1984.
And the cries of men, and the air was filled with the crack of rifle fire and the roar of cannon. At dawn on the morning of the 6th of June, 1944, 225 Rangers jumped off the British landing craft and ran to the bottom of these cliffs. Their mission was one of the most difficult and daring of the invasion, to climb these sheer and desolate cliffs and take out the enemy guns. The Allies had been told that some of the mightiest of these guns were here, and they would be trained on the beaches to stop the Allied advance. The Rangers looked up and saw the enemy soldiers at the edge of the cliffs shooting down at them with machine guns and throwing grenades, and the American Rangers began to climb. They shot rope ladders over the face of these cliffs and began to pull themselves up. When one Ranger fell, another would take his place. When one rope was cut, a Ranger would grab another and begin his climb again. They climbed, shot back, and held their footing. Soon, one by one, the Rangers pulled themselves over the top, and in seizing the firm land at the top of these cliffs, they began to seize back the continent of Europe. 225 came here. After 2 days of fighting, only 90 could still bear arms. And behind me is a memorial that symbolizes the Ranger daggers that were thrust into the top of these cliffs. And before me are the men who put them there. These are the boys of Puente Hope. These are the men who took the cliffs. These are the champions who helped free a continent. And these are the heroes who helped end a war. Gentlemen, I look at you and I think of the words of Stephen Spender's poem. You were men who in your, quote, lives fought for life and left the vivid air signed with your honor. I think I know what you may be thinking right now, thinking we were just part of a bigger effort. Everyone was brave that day. Well, everyone was. You remember the story of Bill Millen of the 51st Highlanders? 40 years ago today, British troops were pinned down near a bridge, waiting desperately for help. Suddenly they heard the sound of bagpipes, and some thought they were dreaming. Well, they weren't. They looked up and saw Bill Millen with his bagpipes leading the reinforcements and ignoring the smack of the bullets into the ground around him. Lord Lovat was with him, Lord Lovat of Scotland, who calmly announced when he got to the bridge, "Sorry, I'm a few minutes late," as if he'd been delayed by a traffic jam, when in truth he'd just come from the bloody fighting on Sword Beach, which he and his men had just taken. There was the impossible valor of the Poles, who threw themselves between the enemy and the rest of Europe as the invasion took hold, and the unsurpassed courage of the Canadians, who had already seen the horrors of war on this coast. They knew what awaited them there, but they would not be deterred. And once they hit Juno Beach, they never looked back. All of these men were part of a roll call of honor, with names that spoke of a pride as bright as the colors they bore. The Royal Winnipeg Rifles, Poland's 24th Lancers, the Royal Scots Fusiliers, the Screaming Eagles, the Yeomen of England's armored divisions, the forces of Free France, the Coast Guard's Matchbox Fleet, and you, the American Rangers. 40 summers have passed since the battle that you fought here. You were young the day you took these cliffs. Some of you were hardly more than boys with the deepest joys of life before you. Yet you risked everything here. Why? Why did you do it? Well, what impelled you to put aside the instinct for self-preservation and risk your lives to take these cliffs? What inspired all the men of the armies that met here? We look at you and somehow we know the answer. It was faith and belief. It was loyalty and love. The men of Normandy had faith that what they were doing was right, faith that they fought for all humanity, faith that a just God would grant them mercy on this beachhead or on the next. It was the deep knowledge, and pray God we have not lost it, that there is a profound moral difference between the use of force for liberation and the use of force for conquest. You were here to liberate, not to conquer. And so you and those others did not doubt your cause. And you were right not to doubt. You all knew that some things are worth dying for. One's country is worth dying for, and democracy is worth dying for because it's the most deeply honorable form of government ever devised by man. All of you loved liberty. All of you were willing to fight tyranny, and you knew the people of your countries were behind you. The Americans who fought here that morning knew word of the invasion was spreading through the darkness back home. They fought or felt in their hearts, though they couldn't know in fact, that in Georgia they were filling the churches at 4 a.m. In Kansas, they were kneeling on their porches and praying. And in Philadelphia, they were ringing the Liberty Bell. Something else helped the men of D-Day: their rock-hard belief that Providence would have a great hand in the events that would unfold here, that God was an ally in this great cause. And so, the night before the invasion, when Colonel Wolverton asked his parachute troops to kneel with him in prayer, he told them, "Do not bow your heads, but look up so you can see God and ask His blessing in what we are about to do." Also that night, General Matthew Ridgway on his cot, listening in the darkness for the promise God made to Joshua, "I will not fail thee nor forsake thee." These are the things that impelled them. These are the things that shaped the unity of the Allies. When the war was over, there were lives to be rebuilt and governments to be returned to the people. There were nations to be reborn. Above all, there was a new peace to be assured. These were huge and daunting tasks, but the Allies summoned strength from the faith, belief, loyalty, and love of those who fell here. They rebuilt a new Europe together. There was first a great reconciliation among those who had been enemies, all of whom had suffered so greatly. The United States did its part, creating the Marshall Plan to help rebuild our allies and our former enemies. The Marshall Plan led to the Atlantic Alliance, a great alliance that serves to this day as our shield for freedom, for prosperity, and for peace. In spite of our great efforts and successes, not all that followed the end of the war was happy or planned. Some liberated countries were lost. The great sadness of this loss echoes down to our own time in the streets of Warsaw, Prague, and East Berlin. The Soviet troops that came to the center of this continent did not leave when peace came. They're still there, uninvited, unwanted, unyielding, almost 40 years after the war. Because of this, Allied forces still stand on this continent. Today, as 40 years ago, our armies are here for only one purpose: to protect and defend democracy. The only territories we hold are memorials like this one and graveyards where our heroes rest. We in America have learned bitter lessons from 2 world wars. It is better to be here ready to protect the peace than to take blind shelter across the sea, rushing to respond only after freedom is lost. We've learned that isolationism never was and never will be an acceptable response to tyrannical governments with an expansionist intent. But we try always to be prepared for peace, prepared to deter aggression, prepared to negotiate the reduction of arms, and yes, prepared to reach out again in the spirit of reconciliation. In truth, there is no reconciliation we would welcome more than a reconciliation with the Soviet Union, so together we can lessen the risks of war now and forever. It's fitting to remember here the great losses also suffered by the Russian people during World War II. 20 million perished, a terrible price that testifies to all the world the necessity of ending war. I tell you from my heart that we in the United States do not want war. We want to wipe from the face of the earth the terrible weapons that man now has in his hands. And I tell you, we're ready to seize that beachhead. We look for some sign from the Soviet Union that they are willing to move forward, that they share our desire and love for peace, and that they will give up the ways of conquest. There must be a changing there that will allow us to turn our hope into action. We will pray forever that someday that changing will come. But for now, particularly today, it is good and fitting to renew our commitment to each other, to our freedom, and to the alliance that protects it. We're bound today by what bound us 40 years ago, the same loyalties, traditions, and beliefs. We're bound by reality. The strength of America's allies is vital to the United States, and the American security guarantee is essential to the continued freedom of Europe's democracies. We were with you then, we're with you now. Your hopes are our hopes, and your destiny is our destiny. Here in this place, where the West held together, let us make a vow to our dead. Let us show them by our actions that we understand what they died for. Let our actions say to them the words for which Matthew Ridgway listened: I will not fail thee nor forsake thee. Strengthened by their courage, heartened by their value, and borne by their memory, let us continue to stand for the ideals for which they lived and died. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
And that's it. That's the show. Thanks for watching today. It's interesting thinking about even how much has changed since the 40 years since he gave that speech. We had a little bit of that reconciliation for a time, and for whatever reason, we've kind of pushed back into us and them, at least rhetorically. And but the important part is those people who sacrifice themselves for the world should be honored and remembered on this very solemn day. That's it. All these links will be in the chat and the description. Thanks for watching me today. Hope to see you again tomorrow. I'm Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thanks for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.